Most people are going to drift through December waiting for January 1st like it's some magic reset button. But not you. These next 30 days, they are your runway. They are your foundation. They are your chance to build the habits, the discipline, and the identity that will define your entire 2026. If you give me the next few minutes, I'll show you exactly how to use these final days of the year to create momentum so powerful that the new year won't change you, YWOO will change the new year. Let's begin. December is the month everyone misunderstands. People treat it like the finish line, like the year is already over, like the moment the calendar flips to the first, life will magically start fresh. But the truth is, December is not the end. December is the beginning. It is the month that quietly determines the version of you that will walk into 2026. And most people waste it. They slow down, they detect, they lose focus, and they wait. They wait for some imaginary moment in January where motivation will suddenly kick in. But you and I both know change doesn't come from waiting. Change comes from deciding. And you decide and now. Think about it, what makes January any different. It's just another day, another sunrise, another moment. There is nothing special about January 1st except the story we attach to it. And if a date has enough power to make you want to improve your life, imagine what could happen if you started 30 days earlier. Imagine the momentum you would generate if you made December your testing ground instead of your resting ground. These 30 days give you a chance to build the habits, the discipline, the structure, and the identity that 2026 will need from you. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you rise to the level of your systems. And December is where those systems are built. These final days of the year are powerful because there is less noise. While most people are slowing down, you get the advantage of clarity. When the world is distracted, you sharpen your focus. When everyone else is coasting, you're rising. And that contrast matters. It creates psychological separation. You begin to see yourself not as someone trying to improve, but as someone committed to transforming. This month becomes the line you draw between who you were and who you're becoming. This is the month where you test yourself, not for perfection, but for preparation. You're not trying to become a new person overnight. You're rehearsing your future self. You're trying out new routines, adjusting your habits, noticing what works and what doesn't. It's like training before the marathon, not the marathon itself. If you wait until January to start, you begin from zero. But if you start now, you walk into 2026 already warmed up, already aligned, already in motion. And motion is everything. The hardest part of any change is starting. Not the doing, not the sustaining, the starting. Most people can maintain momentum once they feel progress. The issue is they wait too long to create that first spark. December gives you a full month to remove the friction of starting so that when January arrives, you're not trying to push a heavy boulder uphill, you're already moving with speed. Use this month to take inventory of your life. How are you waking up? How are you treating your body? How are you speaking to yourself? What distractions are stealing your minutes? What habits are shaping your identity without you even realizing it? December is your awareness month. It's where you get brutally honest about what the current version of you is doing, and more importantly, what the future version of you needs from you. If you want 2026 to look different, you have to act different now. You can't expect breakthroughs while repeating the same patterns. You can't step into the next chapter while holding on to behaviors that belong in the last one. December is the trial period for your upgraded life. You get to experiment with discipline. You get to test consistency. You get to build internal proof that you can change. And when you stack 30 days of proof on top of each other, something shifts inside you. You stop hoping and you start knowing that you are capable. Knowing that you can follow through. Knowing that you can become the person you've always imagined. This is why December matters. Not because it's special, but because it's overlooked. And the overlooked moments are where transformation begins. When you choose to rise while the world rests, you gain an edge that compounds day after day. You build confidence that compounds. You build resilience that compounds. You build self-belief that compounds. And when January arrives, you're not scrambling to become a new person. You're already ahead, already aligned, already unstoppable. These 30 days are not a countdown to a new year. They are the warm-up for a new identity. And if you use them intentionally, the version of you that steps into 2026 will be unrecognizable in the best possible way. Because the truth is simple, the work you do in December becomes the life you live in 2026. Most people underestimate the power of small daily wins. They think change has to be dramatic, overwhelming, or instant. They believe transformation comes from huge goals, massive declarations, or big leaps. But real transformation doesn't start big. It starts small, so small that most people overlook it. Those tiny actions you take every day, the ones no one sees, the ones that feel almost too simple to matter, those are the actions that quietly shape your identity. And your identity is what will build your entire 2026. When you wake up each morning and do one thing you promised yourself you would do, even if it's tiny, you're teaching your brain something important. I can trust myself. And once your brain trusts you, everything changes. You stop negotiating with your excuses. You stop doubting your potential. You stop hesitating every time you want to make a move. You create internal alignment. And internal alignment is one of the most powerful forces in the world. Think about how many times in your life you've said you would do something and then didn't. How many times you made promises to yourself that you broke. Start tomorrow. Wake up earlier, eat cleaner, work out, start the business. Stop procrastinating. The more times we tell ourselves something and fail to follow through, the more we quietly erode our self-belief, not dramatically, not instantly, slowly, silently, one broken promise at a time. And that buildup is what kills momentum before it even begins. That's why December is not about huge achievements. It's about rebuilding that internal trust brick by brick. It's about proving to yourself through small daily wins that you can do what you say you will do. If you want to change your entire 2026, It starts with showing up in these next 30 days in a way that makes your mind say, okay, maybe this time is different. And the beautiful thing is that these wins don't need to be impressive. They just need to be consistent. Read for 5 minutes. Drink a full bottle of water. Go on a 10-minute walk. Write down your goals for the day. Clean one part of your room. Meditate for 3 minutes. These are not life-changing tasks on their own, but they shift something deeper, the way you see yourself. You go from someone who says, I'll try, to someone who says, I follow through. You begin to view yourself as someone capable, disciplined, reliable. And once that identity begins to form, bigger goals become easier because they rest on a foundation of self-trust. Most people fail not because their goals are too big, but because their identity is too small. They're trying to build skyscrapers on sand. They want to be consistent, but they don't see themselves as consistent. They want to be disciplined, but they don't believe they are disciplined. They want breakthroughs, but they still see themselves through the lens of their past failures. Small daily wins change that. They shift the identity from the inside out. And here's the thing, your brain loves evidence. It doesn't care where that evidence comes from. Every time you complete a small win, your brain stores that evidence. It says, good, you did it again. And when you repeat that win over and over, day after day, week after week, your brain begins building a story around it. You're someone who shows up. That story becomes your identity, and your identity becomes your destiny. This is why you should never underestimate the smallest actions. They're not random moments. They are psychological cues, identity anchors, internal deposits into your future. Every small win says to your future self, I am building you. I am strengthening you. I am preparing you for 2026. And once you stack enough of those wins, something powerful happens. You begin to feel momentum. And momentum is addictive. When you start to feel yourself improving, even slightly, you want more. When you start to feel capable, you take bigger actions. When you start to feel aligned, you stop sabotaging yourself. You begin to see possibility instead of limitation. Momentum is built from repetition, not intensity. You don't need to sprint. You need to be steady. You don't need to transform overnight. You need to transform gradually. The person who improves by 1% a day will beat the person who tries to change everything at once and burns out in a week, because slow, steady growth compounds. And compounded growth becomes unstoppable. So use December as your proving ground. Pick a few small wins and commit to them daily. Don't aim for perfect days. Aim for kept promises. Aim for consistency, not intensity. Aim for alignment, not exhaustion. You are rebuilding the foundation that your entire 2026 will be built on. And once that foundation is strong, you will rise faster than you ever have before. Because the truth is simple. As small daily wins create the unstoppable version of you that 2026 will need, one of the most powerful things you can do in these 30 days is remove what doesn't belong in your future. Most people try to transform their lives by adding more habits, more goals, more routines, more pressure. But real transformation often begins with subtraction. It begins with clearing out the noise, the distractions, the habits, and even the people who are quietly holding you back. You can't build a stronger version of yourself on top of clutter, chaos, and old patterns. December becomes the month where you detach from what no longer fits the identity you're moving into. Think about how much of your life is shaped not by what you do, but by what you tolerate, the small habits that drain your energy, the excuses that sneak into your day, the conversations that pull your mindset down, the environments that make it harder for you to focus. You don't even notice how much weight you're carrying until you decide to put it down. December is the moment where you say, I can't take this version of me into 2026, and that decision alone can change everything. Before you add new habits in January, you need space, you need clarity, you need room for your future self to breathe. If your days are filled with distractions, no amount of motivation will save you. If your life is crowded with people who drain your energy, no new routine will fix that. If your mind is packed with old stories, doubts, and patterns, no fresh start will magically reset it. Subtraction isn't glamorous, and it's not loud, but it's one of the most life-changing things you can do. Start by paying attention to the habits that are slowly stealing your future. The late night scrolling that robs your mornings, the procrastination that keeps your goals stuck on the shelf, the unhealthy coping mechanisms you turn to when you're stressed. These habits don't just take your time, they take your identity. They shape you into a person you no longer want to be. December is your chance to break that cycle by removing just one or two of those habits and freeing your energy for something better. And then there are the people. This is where it gets uncomfortable, because sometimes the hardest thing to remove isn't a habit, it's a relationship. That person you're always trying to impress. The friend who mocks your goals. The family member who speaks to you like you'll never grow. The colleague who loves drama. Every year, people carry old relationships into a new year and then wonder why nothing feels different. If someone drains you every time you talk to them, that's not connection, that's weight. And weight slows your life down. It's not about cutting people out harshly, it's about protecting the version of you you're trying to become. There's also the internal clutter, the stories you carry about yourself, the belief that you're not disciplined, the fear that you'll fail again, the memory of who you used to be. These stories are loud and they're heavy. You drag them through every opportunity you get. You walk into new seasons carrying old chapters. And without realizing it, those old chapters shape your decisions, your confidence, and your willingness to take risks. December is your moment to say that story is done. You can rewrite the way you see yourself, but only when you stop letting the past dictate who you're allowed to become. Subtraction creates clarity, and clarity creates direction. When you remove what drains you, you naturally rise. You gain mental space, you gain emotional strength, you gain energy you didn't even know you were losing. Suddenly, making changes in your life feels easier because you're no longer wrestling with unnecessary weight. Suddenly, discipline doesn't feel like a battle because your environment is supporting you. not fighting against you. Sometimes you don't need more effort, you just need less resistance. December is the perfect time to evaluate your life without pressure. While everyone else is distracted, you can quietly redesign your future, clean your space, organize your environment, delete apps that steal your time. Distance yourself from negativity. Break one habit that doesn't belong in your next chapter. Remove one thing that keeps pulling you backward. These actions may seem small, but they create massive shifts in your path forward. When you clear out what doesn't belong, something incredible happens. You become lighter. You start to feel aligned. You feel like you're finally moving in the direction you were meant to move. You create the space for new habits, new people, new opportunities, and a new identity to step in. You're not just preparing for a new year. You're preparing for a new version of yourself. Because the truth is simple. You can't step into your 2026 future while holding on to what belongs to your past. The most important shift you can make in these 30 days is to stop waiting for January to become the person you want to be in 2026. Most people build goals for the new year like they're building a fantasy, something they'll start when the time is right, when life calms down, when motivation hits, when circumstances magically line up. But if you've lived enough life, you know one thing is always true: the right time will never come. You create the right time by becoming the right person, and that starts before the new year ever arrives. Instead of thinking, I'll start in January, imagine asking yourself, what would the 2026 version of me do today? That question alone can change your entire trajectory, because the future version of you already knows how to show up. They already operate with discipline. They already honor their routine. They already choose the habits that align with the life they want. When you start behaving like that version of yourself now, your transformation begins long before the calendar flips. December isn't about planning your goals. It's about rehearsing your new identity. It's about living your future in advance. It's a 30-day preview of the life you're building. You're training your mind, your habits, your schedule, and your energy to match the person you want to become. This isn't about pretending you're already perfect. It's about intentionally stepping into the mindset and actions of someone who has already figured out the things you're still working toward. Think about every big change you've ever wanted in your life. Better health, more confidence, deeper relationships, stronger finances, more discipline. These aren't things you achieve, they're things you become. You don't get in shape once and stay there. You become someone who prioritizes health. You don't get disciplined one day. You become someone whose actions match their intentions. You don't build a strong mindset overnight. You become someone who challenges their own excuses and chooses growth over comfort. Identity first, results second. And that's why December is so powerful. There's no pressure. No hype, no noise. While everyone else waits, you practice, you experiment, you refine, you catch the weaknesses in your routines before the stakes get higher. You figure out what works for you and what doesn't. You build systems that will carry you into the new year with momentum instead of desperation. You begin January already in motion while everyone else is just warming up. When you create your blueprint for 2026, keep it simple. Who do you need to become to deserve the life you want? Not what do I want to achieve, but what version of me would naturally achieve it? That shift is everything. Because when your identity is aligned, your habits follow, your decisions follow. Your discipline follows. You no longer have to force change. It becomes the natural expression of who you are. Imagine waking up in the morning and making choices from the perspective of your future self. You start eating like them, working like them, speaking like them, taking responsibility like them, protecting your time like them, moving through the world with intention instead of impulse. The more you do this, the less room there is for the old version of you to take over. You begin to outgrow your past without even trying, and something incredible happens when you live this way. Life starts opening up, opportunities appear. You attract people who match your energy. You gain confidence because your actions align with your ambition. You stop feeling like you're chasing the best version of yourself and start feeling like you're stepping into it. Consistently, quietly, powerfully. You don't need to overhaul your entire life in these 30 days. You just need to start practicing your future. Choose one habit your 2026 self would master and do it now. Choose one boundary they would set and set it now. Choose one standard they would live by and start living by it now. Every small choice is a vote for the person you're becoming. Every aligned action pulls your future closer. When January arrives, most people will be scrambling to build new routines from scratch, but you won't, because you'll already be living as the upgraded version of yourself. You'll enter the new year with confidence instead of pressure, momentum instead of fear, identity instead of uncertainty. You won't be starting anything, you'll simply be continuing what you've already built. Because the truth is simple, just the fastest way to change your 2026 is to start living like that version of you today. As you step out of this moment and back into your life, remember this, these next 30 days are not ordinary days. They are the chapter before the chapter. They are the foundation beneath everything you want to build in 2026. You don't need a perfect plan. You don't need the calendar to give you permission. You don't need the world to quiet down or the timing to feel right. You just need to begin. Begin with one small win. Begin with one habit removed. Begin with one decision that aligns with the person you're becoming. Every action you take in December is a vote for your future. Every promise you keep builds the identity that will carry you through 2026. Every moment you choose growth over comfort strengthens the version of you that's been waiting to rise. You're not preparing for a new year, you're preparing for a new life. And if you commit to these next 30 days with intention, focus, and honesty, you won't just enter 2026 differently, you'll enter it already transformed. Because the truth is, your future isn't built on January 1st. Your future starts right now.